Most people believe that history was forged in the fires of battle, shaped by the bloody swords of ruthless generals, and dictated by the whims of absolute monarchs. They look back at the sprawling empires of antiquity and see only the clash of bronze and the march of conquering legions. But the truth is far more profound. All those swords, all those massive armies, and all those sprawling empires were ultimately built upon a foundation engineered by a single mind. It was the mind of a man who looked at the chaotic, unpredictable universe and decided to hack its hidden codes. He was the ancient world's greatest system builder, a mortal who attempted to write the very operating system of human thought. Welcome to the world of Aristotle. Forget the classic, dusty image of a boring old philosopher sitting quietly in a corner. Aristotle was a force of nature. When he arrived in Athens as a 17-year-old boy to study at Plato's famous academy, he acted like a powerful virus infiltrating his master's intellectual system. Plato, the reigning heavyweight of philosophy, always pointed his finger toward the heavens. Plato believed that the true reality of the universe existed in a mystical, untouchable realm of abstract ideas, a place where perfect forms dictated the messy shadows of our physical world. But Aristotle firmly pointed his hand down toward the earth. His logic was ruthless, grounded, and intensely practical. He looked at the world and declared that to truly understand the universe, you do not need to daydream in the clouds. Instead, you must dissect the world right in front of you. He became the first human being in recorded history who tried to create a comprehensive system and a logical folder structure for absolutely everything in existence. From tracking the movements of the stars in the night sky and examining the biological structure of an animal's heart, to analyzing exactly why human beings cry during a tragic theater performance, Aristotle wanted to categorize it all. He wanted to understand the rules that govern the creation of a flawless government just as much as he wanted to understand the anatomy of a marine animal. Eventually, Aristotle founded his own school, the Lyceum. His students became known as the Peripatetics, which translates to the people who walk around, simply because Aristotle could never just sit still in a chair. He paced back and forth through the covered walkways of his school, and with every step, he laid the foundational bricks for sciences that would remain unchallenged for the next 2,000 years. No scientist or thinker dared to contradict his words for millennia. He was the undisputed inventor of formal logic, giving humanity the ultimate intellectual tool to prevent the human brain from deceiving itself. He taught us how to construct an argument, how to spot a fallacy, and how to deduce truth from a chaotic world. His golden rule for human behavior was the concept of the golden mean. Aristotle believed that every virtue was simply a point of perfect balance, a delicate equilibrium situated directly between two extremes. He taught that true courage is not the absence of fear, nor is it blind recklessness. Courage is the precise, calculated midpoint between cowardice and foolishness. He wanted to create a world governed by reason, balance, and careful observation. But what happens when this cold, flawless, calculating logic is forcefully implanted into the mind of a future monster. The king of Macedon, Philip II, summoned Aristotle with a monumental task to educate his wild, rebellious teenage son. Aristotle took on the challenge, attempting to program the ideas of the golden mean, rational governance, and philosophical restraint into the boy's volatile mind. He wanted to forge the ultimate philosopher king, a ruler who would conquer not just with the sword, but with enlightened reason. However, his student was none other than Alexander the Great. Aristotle armed Alexander's brilliant mind with advanced strategy, scientific curiosity, and absolute fearlessness. But he soon realized a terrifying truth. You cannot keep a hurricane trapped inside a glass cage. Alexander went on to conquer the known world, utilizing the brutal, calculated logic and tactical brilliance instilled in him by his teacher. Yet, as his empire expanded across continents, Alexander completely abandoned Aristotle's core teaching of moderation. The young king drowned in the intoxicating madness of absolute power, adopting the tyrannical customs of the kings he defeated and losing himself in endless ambition. Back in Athens, Aristotle could only sit and watch in horror as the ultimate human weapon he helped forge completely lost control. It was perhaps the greatest tragedy of the philosopher's life, the crushing realization that even the most powerful logic and the most perfect rational systems are ultimately no match for the dark, insatiable desires lurking within the human soul. In the end, when Alexander the Great suddenly died in Babylon, the political climate shifted violently. The people of Athens, who had long harbored a deep, simmering hatred for their Macedonian conquerors, turned their vengeful eyes toward Aristotle due to his past connections with the royal family. They wanted to execute him, just as they had executed the great philosopher Socrates decades earlier. But Aristotle was far too intelligent to let history repeat itself so blindly. He quietly packed his things and fled the city, famously declaring that he would not allow Athens to sin twice against philosophy. He died in exile just a year later. Though his physical life ended in exile, the intellectual codes he wrote for the human mind were never erased. Over 2 millennia later, we still think using his vocabulary. We still argue using his logic. We still navigate a world that was fundamentally architected by his relentless curiosity. Aristotle sought pure logic in a chaotic universe. But as history constantly reminds us, the world does not always move in a logical straight line. Sometimes the greatest empires and the most legendary cities do not fall because of carefully calculated philosophical debates. Sometimes they are obliterated by pure, unadulterated madness, devastating betrayal, and rivers of blood. In our next video, we are leaving the quiet, intellectual academies of Athens far behind and plunging straight into the heart of an ancient hell. We are traveling to a legendary city protected by impenetrable walls, a city that, because of the sheer insanity of a forbidden romance, was transformed into the largest and most brutal bloodbath of the ancient world. This is a place where gods and mortal men lined up to destroy one another, where heroes were born whose names still send shivers down the spine of history. We are going to uncover the true, horrifying story of the fall of Troy. Behind the romanticized myths and the famous legends lies a truth far darker and infinitely more violent than a simple giant wooden horse. If you want to discover the terrifying secrets of the city that burned to ashes in the name of beauty, you need to hit that subscribe button right now and like this video. Join History Story today, because in our next episode, absolutely no one makes it out of Troy alive.